'Twas the first night home for the holidays, and all through your town, not one thumb was quiet, a lot of swiping going down. You created the perfect Bumble profile with care in hopes that your dream guy or gal may be out there. When what to your wandering eyes should appear but a ton of faces you haven't seen in years. There's a rando from high school, your ex from 8th grade, a kid you used to babysit, and your literal Uncle Dave. As cringe as this feels, the only thing worse would be if one of them stumbled upon your profile first. But there's no need to panic or erase your face from the app. You can go incognito with one simple tap. Disappear from the others till you say they're a match, and have more fun finding your next hometown catch. With peace of mind and your profile hidden from sight, happy holidating to all, and to all a good night. Happy holidating with incognito mode from Bumble. Download today.
Hey, welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. This is your co-host, Bree Tucker, bringing you an encore presentation of one of our favorite episodes from this year. This one is episode 172, where we talk with our good friend, Breanne Smedley, and she talks about what every mom needs to know about competitive sports. In this episode, we talk about how kids tend to move towards perfectionism and how that can attach to their identity, especially those in competitive sports. How we can help our kids, especially our daughters, find their positive, innate qualities that don't depend on their ability to perform in their sport, and how losing at a sport can actually be a good thing. So without further ado, here is our encore of episode 172, What Every Mom Needs to Know About Competitive Sports, with Breanne Smedley.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by my co-host, Bree Tucker.
Why, hello, Betty. How are you?
It is the end of the week.
And it's also, like, I know that we mentioned in our episode, it's close to the holidays. So it is a time where, like, your brain is half on or half mush. I'm not sure how you want to look at it. Either way.
It's funny because, like, my brain is half mush, being my husband's been out of town all this week on a work trip. And so my kids are pretty self-sufficient, but just having to manage everything on my own, there's definitely a hit in brain power.
But you know what? We did talk about this, obviously, well, not obviously to the audience, but obvious to you and me. We talked about this off camera about how at the beginning of the week, though, you were talking about how you felt like you didn't realize how much time you spent trying to keep track of his time and doing things for him, that you were thinking it would be an easier week.
Mm-hmm.
And now that it's at the end of the week, how was it?
It was okay. Everything was okay. But usually he's my tap out when things get way too emotional, and having a teenager, like, it's really emotional
every day. Yeah.
So I didn't have that tap out, and that's really what exhausted me. But I think after this week, I am going to worry less about him. I mean, he doesn't want me worrying about him. I know that. For, like, kids, we've talked about this, but it's just a habit I have. And I think I can just let go and make sure I'm focused on me and what needs to be done. And it's all good. It's all okay.
That's fantastic. It's a hard time anytime anyone has no tap out with their teenage daughter.
Yeah.
I'm going to say daughter because in my case, I have a son and a daughter, and I would definitely say my daughter is a lot more involved with the emotional end of things than my son is. Not that he's not emotional. He doesn't suck as much out of my cup as my daughter does. But I love her. I love them both, but it's a lot of stuff out of the cup.
Yeah. Well, when my son was younger, it used to be him who had, like, all the attention needed to be given to him. And now he's, like, not, I wouldn't say, like, he's totally independent, doesn't need me at all. But again, he doesn't need as much from my cup. I think that's a good way to explain it.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So our guest today is actually great that we're on the subject of daughters, because she helps moms of teenage athletes, particularly girls. Her name is Breanne Smedley, and she is a certified female athlete elite performance coach who works to empower and enable female athletes to cultivate true confidence, unlock their potential, and level up their performance across all aspects of their lives. And she's passionate about helping sports moms strengthen their athlete daughters' mental game so she stops beating herself up after mistakes and starts believing in herself as much as her mom does. And I laugh a little bit because you will see how this interview
so
just
much
goes
about that.
right into that and perfectionism. So we hope you enjoy our interview with Breanne.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom Podcast.
I want to talk to you about starting like as a competitive athlete. I'm assuming you started in high school with athletics. Is that right?
Yeah, I started probably more like middle school. I was, very competitive in a lot of sports, but volleyball was like my main sport. That was the one that I fell in love with in high school, got really serious. I was basically playing year round. So yeah, that was like my main sport. Yeah.
Did you have the experience where you were basically in school and then in the sport and it took up most of your free time outside of school?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And honestly, I mean, my story around athletics and competition, it started as a love, and then it became something that was all consuming, to the point where when I was a senior, I was a highly recruited athlete. I was getting a lot of offers to play at the next level. And it was kind of this idea of, where's Bree going to play? Not like, is she going to play? I just felt like it was, everybody else's expectations on me. And actually my senior year, after my senior season, I decided to quit. I was like, this is too much. This is, taking up my whole life, my whole identity. Looking back now, I know exactly what it was. I was dealing internally with a lot of expectations, pressure, confidence issues. I felt like I had to perform always. I couldn't make any mistakes. And I just didn't know how to deal with the normal things that athletes deal with. Like all athletes face mistakes, pressure, expectations, nerves. Like it's a common thing when you're an athlete. And I just thought I was the only one and didn't know how to deal with it. So I was like, it's better for me just to quit and like duck out of this than to be at the next level, have to deal with all this, let people down. And so I did. You're like, wait, but you played in college. How did this happen?
Yeah. No, well, you've touched on something so important, and that's the confidence issue. And I see the confidence issues right now with my daughter. I remember acutely the confidence issues that I went through in high school. Like I was a high school swimmer. And sometimes I felt that it was like not even worth trying if everybody else was better than me. Did you ever encounter anything like that?
Yeah, it was, and now doing the work that I do, I see a lot of this perfectionism tendency, this all or nothing. It's not worth it to even try if I'm just going to get beat out, or she's going to be better than me, or I'm going to make mistakes, or I'm going to fail. It's better just to not even do it. And, I totally saw that coming out. Obviously that basically made my decisions for me when it came to that point of like, hey, are you going to continue with the sport you love? And it's like, no, because I could fail basically. And if I'm going to go down that road and be a disappointment in my mind, then I'm just not going to do that. So yeah, of course.
I think that's something, it's a good point there, that fear of, if I'm not the best, if I'm not perfect at it, then I'm going to completely let everybody down, even though nobody's ever said that to you. Nobody's ever right. Nobody ever said, Bree, you better be a good volleyball player. Like that's it. If you're not like number one, we don't love you. That was never said, but yet we all have that thought process. So it's, I had that same one growing up too. Like I wasn't sporty, but I was really competitive in music. And unless I knew I was going to like hammer that tryout, I didn't even try. And if I did, then I was going to be the best at everything. And it, like you said, it would just consume your whole personality. And it's, where is that in between, right? And that's what you focus on, is helping everybody find that in between, because it's scary.
Did you ever have a hard time taking constructive criticism because you felt like, I'm speaking from personal experience and from what I see with my daughter, I could not ask people how I could improve, because if I asked them, I felt like they would just say, oh my gosh, you suck as a swimmer. Why are you even doing this? Basically the Simon Cowell of coaches, that was my fear. Did you ever have that fear of feedback and criticism in your sports life?
Yeah, I really did. And again, that hits on when we teach moms and athletes about perfectionism, it's kind of like hitting those themes. We kind of teach in bits of like common things that athletes struggle with: perfectionism, nerves, anxiety, never feeling good enough. These are just common things, coming back from mistakes. And that one would fall into the perfectionism bucket, where it's like feedback is seen as like, you're just telling me I'm the worst person ever. And we see this when athletes, and this is very common, attach their identity to their sport and their outcomes with their self-worth. And there's sneaky ways that that we as parents, I mean, we have the best intentions, but we actually are reaffirming this in our athletes. And like you said, no one told me. Yeah, no one told me, like, hey, Brie, like, you are a volleyball player and that's all you are. And if you don't perform out there, like, we don't love you. But guess what? I got a ton of praise when I did well. I got a ton of praise when I got the most kills. I got a ton of recognition. I got a ton of focus, got a ton of attention when I was doing those things. And so subconsciously, that is what we put into our brains as athletes, as young, impressionable athletes. Like, we connect. When I do good things out there, I get recognition. So that is where, that connect comes. And as parents, we can actually be intentional with where we shift our focus to help our athletes not have that identity crisis there.
That's interesting, because as parents, you're told, oh, we should boost our kids and self-esteem and really tell them when they're doing well, because that helps. But like what we teach also at No Guilt Mom is like, it really all depends on where we put the praise. And it's always effort versus innate ability, because that's the only thing that could be really improved on or really worked on. Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned all the perfectionism thing, because I'm like, maybe some of my own perfectionism qualities are coming out here, because that's all I'm asking you about.
Oh, yes. I know. You're like, wow, okay, we're in this bucket again. Okay, yeah.
You're like, we're in perfectionism again. Okay, cool.
Well, so I'm curious, what are some things that we can do? Like how can we shift that praise or that positive reinforcement to a place where it's actually more helpful and they don't see it as conditional?
We'll be right back after a quick break. This message is sponsored by Greenlight. It is so hard to raise kids who know how to manage money. Brie, right now, my kids are all about earning money for presents. My daughter wants to get presents for all of her friends, and my son is doing a Secret Santa with his friends.
Oh, I hear you. And if you're looking to raise kids that are financially responsible, we have got a lifesaver recommendation for you that you need to check out. It is Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families that gives kids and teens an easy and fun way to gain financial literacy, all while giving parents peace of mind.
You can send instant money transfers, automate allowance, and even keep an eye on kids' spending with real-time notifications. Meanwhile, your kids can begin their journey towards financial autonomy by learning how to save, invest, and spend wisely.
So sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/NGM.
That's greenlight.com/NGM to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/NGM. My son is playing a game right now on his computer where he's a thief and the cops are after him. So I'm so excited about this new app, Give As We Grow, where instead of being the quote unquote bad guys, kids are practicing giving back.
That is so cool, Joanne. I really wish that there was something like this when my kids were younger that got them excited about giving back to others and helped them build a better understanding of what it really means to volunteer.
Give As We Grow is the first of its kind free educational mobile app for children ages 8 to 11 that teaches kids via fun, service-focused minigame quests to tap into their unique talents and interests to help others.
And did you know that studies show that there is a biological connection between generosity and happiness, and that volunteering improves people's physical and mental health? I mean, kids who volunteer typically do better in school and are less likely to engage in risky behaviors. And that is something that I think we all want for our kids.
Ready to spark a new movement in generosity? Find and download Give As We Grow for free in the App Store for Android and iOS. And for resources for the whole family, visit giveaswegrow.org.
Yeah, exactly. And it sounds like, you guys have nailed it, right? We are shifting to things that are in their control. So there's kind of two ways that we teach moms how they shape their athlete daughter's confidence. And that's through providing the opportunities and through shaping the environment. and providing the opportunities, we're pretty good at that, right? Like we give them the physical training that they need. We sign them up for the sports they want to play, take them to practice. And then also though, the opportunities for them to develop the mental side of their game and the confidence. And so that's kind of like what we can provide for athletes. But then shaping the environment is actually where we move the needle most. And so we shape the environment for our daughters through what we say to them, our verbal communication and our nonverbal communication. So what we're modeling for them. So Breanne, when you were like, my perfectionism might be showing up in my, yes, there's a huge, like, come on, we've got to look at ourselves and look at like our triggers, look at our past history with our sport and other things, even our trauma, to see how that might be showing up in our athlete. But when it comes to that verbal communication, you hit it on the head, shifting from the outcome to what's in their control, shifting from their stats, their accolades, all of those things to what the process was that got them there, because that's what's in their control. It sounds like I'm preaching to the choir here. And so we say, yes, like it's not like we're going to ignore like, oh my gosh, you scored like 8 goals this game, like obviously that's phenomenal, but can we, and as I'm even telling moms, when you're sitting on the sideline, take some mental notes. Like you can put a note in your phone, watch the things that your athlete did that weren't just goals scored. Was she getting available? Was she encouraging her teammates? Was she hustling when she lost the ball? Did she not give up when it could have been easy to do that? Was she taking coaching well? Like those things lead to the outcome, like in very big ways. And so then it's like, oh, great game. How do you feel like you did? We have a whole kind of post-game thing that we do. What I noticed was you were taking coaching so well. Like your coach was telling you this and you were nodding your head, you were making eye contact. It was so cool. And, I know you worked hard for this, like that. You must be so proud of yourself. So bringing it back, turning that lens inward. So that's kind of the first one. The second one is more of a long game, and that's recognizing their positive innate qualities. So we say, okay, find what her PIQs are. And those are just like what make her her, because we want to separate who our athlete is from what they do, right? She is not just volleyball. She's not just soccer. She's not just dance. She's so many other things. And so we want to be constantly just in the daily life, like pulling out those positive innate qualities and what we love about our daughters that aren't related to her sport. So that's where we start when we start talking about this with moms.
Yeah. I love it because it's a really hard thing to shift, because like I grew up, and like you probably grew up and Bree grew up, having that praise where it's like, oh my gosh, you're so good. Oh my gosh, that was so beautiful. Oh, that was such a good performance. And the first thing I find that I want to say to my daughter is those same things. That's what immediately pops into my head. And it's sometimes hard just to step back and really think about, okay, how do I praise the effort here versus praising just the outcome?
Right. Because it's like you just said, it's what you see that you want to be like, oh my gosh, you have so much talent. You have so much skill. But sometimes I can go the exact opposite direction of what we want.
Yeah, because then it's like, I remember one time, and again, all athletes are different in what they're motivated by, but we do know this to be true, that athletes, tend to, especially those that lean towards perfectionism, tend to attach their identity to what they do. But I remember once I had like one of the best games of my high school career. I had, like 20 kills or something like that. It was so good. And after the game, instead of being excited, I was like, how am I ever going to do that again?
Yes.
It was just this like,
yes.
You already felt like you peaked, man.
Yeah. I was like,
I like 15, 16.
Exactly.
But I could totally identify with that. I have had feelings like that after massive successes where you're like, well, that's it. Now I have to compete with it. And the bar is just raised even higher.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's finding that balance of like constantly, we want our athletes to be improving and to be getting better and those outcomes improving, of course, but we also at a deeper level want them to be satisfied with their performance, satisfied with who they are, satisfied with the work that they're putting in, the goals that they're setting, like all of that comes through the process of getting better. That's what keeps them going, not this like, all right, well, I guess I'm done because I've gone as far as I can go.
Yeah, well, it's interesting for athletes who keep winning and keep experiencing good results. In my research before this interview, I found a quote that you said after a game, and you said, as a coach, I really like well-timed losses. As we were going through the season and rolling along, I was like, when's our adversity going to come? That was it. That gave us an opportunity to dig a little deeper. So can you talk a little bit about what loss does to kids when they're an athlete?
Yeah, that's so funny you pulled up that quote. So it's from this season. I also coach a high school volleyball team, and we won state. We won state last year. We won state this year, and they were completely different seasons. And this season we were, coming in as defending state champs, and we were rolling along. We were not getting hit with a lot of tough challenges. And I'm like, this is a problem. Like as good as winning is, winning doesn't solve everything. Winning doesn't cure everything. It doesn't. And I was like, we've got to hit some, we were creating some adversity for ourselves with some of the internal team dynamics that we had going on, but we needed something. We needed that challenge, because it's really easy to be the athlete that you say you want to be. It's really easy for our kids to be like, yeah, I want to be this positive teammate and I want to work really hard. And then you're winning. And it's like, yeah, that's easy. Okay. What and who are you? How do you respond when things are hard, when we're down and it's tough and it's really hard to be positive? That's where you get the real opportunity to prove who you are and who you want to be. And so, yeah, we lost in district championship. It was a tough loss, but I was like, sweet, this is awesome. I'm so excited. Yeah, the girls were like all sad and I'm like, let's go.
Yeah. They're like, what is wrong with you? Did you just see what happened?
Yeah, I believe we would have not won state if we hadn't had that loss, because it exposed some things in us, caused us to work a little harder in practice. There were just so many good things that came from that loss. And so, shifting our focus to, hey, losses they teach us the most. We didn't change anything, with what we were doing the whole season. We didn't have to, but I knew in the postseason, it was like, we're going to be challenged in much different ways. And we need some adversity to kind of allow us to dig a little deeper. So yeah, losses are great.
What should moms do when they let their daughter right after a tough loss, or maybe something didn't go the way their daughter expected that it would go? What's the dialogue there?
Mm-hmm. Great question. Welcome to athletics. This happens all the time. The way that we describe this to moms is there are 4 roles in your athlete daughter's, career, right? In her athletic career. There's the coach, there's the athlete, there's the ref, and there's the parent. And you get to be one. Now, if you're the actual coach of your daughter's team, you are 2 things, and that's a hard line, but you're not the athlete. This is her journey. This is her experience. You're not the coach. So you're not there to be giving tips and pointers and reminders and coaching and feedback unless she's asking for it. You're not the ref. Don't be the mom that's like, bad call, whatever.
We've seen that. Yes.
Yeah.
At football games. Yes. No.
No judgment,
No judgment.
But yeah, but the parent, and as I said earlier, as a parent, you have two roles. You provide the opportunities, you shape the environment. And when it comes to post loss, we really have to make sure we stay in the role, because we like to fix things. Parents like to be like,
yep,
my daughter's upset. Whatever happened, whatever went down, maybe there's some tough feelings. There's a lot going on, and we want to swoop in and be like, don't feel like this anymore. You did great. Stop thinking about all the things that went bad. No, this will be better. And even as a coach, I was like, okay, we got to grieve this a little bit, and then we can look forward. And so, we teach moms a framework for post game, and the acronym is LOVE, LOVE. And so the first part of the acronym is let her lead. So after that tough game, and really this is win or loss, but it's to kind of gauge, where is she at? Let her lead what she wants to do. Most athletes in our program, when we ask them, what do you need after a game? They're like, I need space. I just need time. I just need someone to just be there and not ask me a bunch of questions about the game and try and fix it. And so let her kind of lead and judge kind of what does she need? The O is open the space. And so we encourage moms to have a post competition, post game, routine with their daughter, and the simplest one is hey, where do you want to go eat? Not let's all hash out the game or anything, but have just some sort of simple routine that you do so that she is reaffirmed that I am loved no matter what I did out there. We're still going to go get something to eat. It's not if I win, I get something to eat. If I lose, I don't.
Oh my God, that's awful.
That'd be horrible.
I know. I laugh about that, but I'm like, I've seen it. So
it has.
Yeah.
I don't even want to. Nope.
That's not
yes.
good. That's not good.
So open the space and allow her to be there. The best thing is for your daughter to come to you in those situations. And so, if you are peppering her with questions and you are giving her coaching, you'd be like, well, if you would have done this, or if the coach would have done this, she's going to slowly be like, I don't want you, and we want our daughters to be to come to us, and we want to be that safe space. And the V is validate. And so I know it's simple, but it's yeah, she's going through a hard time. Validate it. Don't try and fix it. Just be like, yeah, that was tough. You worked really hard for that. And it wasn't how you expected it. That would be tough. Tell me more about it, and just validate her experience. The last one is E, that's encourage inward. And so for that, we encourage moms to, ask their daughters hey, do you want to talk about this? Or do you want to vent? Do you want my perspective? Those really good questions that help her kind of turn the gaze inward. So like, hey, what were your goals in that game? What didn't go well? What did go well? How were you a great teammate? What are you going to do moving forward? Like those questions, instead of like shifting blame and everything else, just allowing her to process. So that's the framework that we do, kind of overview of the framework that we teach moms for post game.
We'll be right back after a quick break. We're hitting that time of year where my brain gets so overloaded in December that I look for anything to make life easier. And I have to say, Brie, that Green Chef is one of those services.
Yes, Green Chef is there to take away the dreaded, oh my goodness, what are we going to eat for dinner tonight? You can eat clean all holiday long with over 80 weekly meal options each week, featuring things like quick and easy, protein-packed, calorie-smart, or my personal favorite, the keto options.
And you don't have to lose track of healthy eating habits during the holidays, because every Green Chef customer gets a free session with one of their registered dietitians who can walk you through how to make clean eating work for you, which is very cool.
And I have to say that I have been loving their recipes lately. They put things together I have never thought of. This week, we're trying the lemon basil caper pork with sauteed cauliflower, bell peppers, almonds, and feta cheese, my favorite. Their recipes make it so easy to support my wellness goals without skipping on flavor.
For Green Chef's best deal of the year, get $250 off with code NGM250 at greenchef.com/NGM250. That's greenchef.com/NGM250. And don't forget to use that code NGM250 to get $250 off.
Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well.
'Twas the first night home for the holidays, and all through your town, not one thumb was quiet. A lot of swiping going down. You created the perfect Bumble profile with care in hopes that your dream guy or gal may be out there. When what to your wandering eyes should appear but a ton of faces you haven't seen in years. There's a rando from high school, your ex from 8th grade, a kid you used to babysit, and your literal Uncle Dave. As cringe as this feels, the only thing worse would be if one of them stumbled upon your profile first. But there's no need to panic or erase your face from the app. You can go incognito with one simple tap. Disappear from the others till you say they're a match, and have more fun finding your next hometown catch. With peace of mind and your profile hidden from sight, happy holidating to all, and to all a good night. Happy holidating with incognito mode from Bumble. Download today.
I have a question on that. What advice do you have if when you're doing that final step, you find that your daughter is doing a lot of, oh, well, it was so-and-so's fault on the team, or the coach should have done this. When they're constantly putting the loss or the blame on other people, and you're seeing this pattern. Oh my gosh, maybe they weren't like that before, they started doing it, but like, what's the best thing you can do to kind of help bring them back when they're like, whoa, we're focusing too much on it being everybody else's fault?
Yeah, that's a great question, because that's a coping mechanism, right? It's them being like, it's not me. And so validate it and be like, oh, okay. So I'm hearing you say that, if the coach would have just maybe done this, it would have changed the outcome. Maybe we don't know but that's out of your control. So we teach athletes, like in your control, out of your control, basic concept. Like, what is in your control though, that could have influenced the game, And so it's kind of like, I see that. What else could it be? And so it's just that same concept of like, we don't want to just like brush it off, because just like us, like adults, when we're processing things, like, I process things with my husband, when he's like, oh no, stop. Like, it's not that. I'm like, wait, but I really think that. And so it's just kind of like validating it, for a moment and be like, okay, maybe. And then moving on to like, but that's not really in your control. So what's in your control that could have, influenced something differently? Or what do you want to do next time in that situation?
I like that shift, and I can see in many conversations where I can use that with my daughter and the blame shifting, because it's so easy to be like, oh no, that's not true. But I love the validate and then shifting it. I'm going to use that. It's going to be amazing. What are you
on that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, tell me.
Yeah, well, just real quick. Be careful, moms, to agree. I know we all have our opinions on coaches and teammates and all of that. The quickest way you can tear down an athlete-coach relationship is to be like, yeah, I know that coach really does. Like, that was a bad decision. Refrain from that. You can talk to your partner about that, but just in front of your daughter, that actually damages her relationship with her coach and her future success. So just, you can validate and be like, okay, I see what you're saying, but you don't go down the rabbit hole of being like, yeah, I know that coach, blah, blah, blah. So.
Okay, I have to say, if anyone's listening right now, that is an easy rabbit hole to go down, because currently this high school season, that is the rabbit hole we've been going down with her.
Well,
especially the team she's on.
Yeah, well, especially if you feel like you truly are fearful for what that's doing to your child's self-esteem, you truly feel like it might be a toxic type situation.
Now that's a different story. Yeah. If it's toxic, and there's things, then you go down the path of like, okay, again, you don't have to just like tear somebody down. You could be like, all right, let's hear the details. How is this impacting you? And then you take the steps of like, either your athlete talking to the coach or you talking to the coach with your athlete. And, so that, of course, that's different.
But I mean, I think it brings up a good point. Like it can be tricky to know where that line is, right? Where your child might be having a skewed perception. And so the story they're coming back to you with isn't maybe as bad as it sounds. So it can be tricky. I have a really quick question. What is a kill? What is a kill? Oh. I'm not a volleyball girl.
A kill in volleyball is when the attacker, like the third person to contact the ball, hits the ball over and it gets a point.
Oh, okay. All right. There we go.
I know. Okay. It is kind of like, why do they call it kills?
I like it though. I like it. I was just the whole time you kept saying kills. I'm like, what does that mean? Does that mean she spiked it or like,
yes, you spiked it, got a point. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool.
What are you looking forward to that is coming up for you?
Well, let's see. I am looking forward to the holidays. Right now we're kind of, as we're recording this, we're going into a season of spending some more time with family. We just wrapped up a really successful season, but my husband is the head football coach where I coach volleyball, and we've got two little kiddos, and it's just like an enormously busy season for those like 5 months. And so I'm looking forward to not having all of that. In our business, we've got a lot of cool things happening as well. So I'm looking forward. We're rebranding our podcast. We've got new offerings for moms, for teams and coaches. And so that's really fun too on the horizon.
That's awesome.
That is exciting. Well, it's been awesome talking with you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes. Thank you for having me. Great questions. Loved it.
It's so funny during this interview because I think right in the middle of it, when I was looking at the questions I was asking, I'm like, maybe I have a problem with perfectionism.
Oh, I think she says that in there. Oh, another question about perfectionism.
I'm like, okay, there might be an issue here. I admit it.
But I have to admit, when I had first heard about it, I'm like, okay, I'm not really big into sports. I never really was big into sports. I played softball when I was younger, but not for like high school or anything further than that. And I did music, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to relate to Breanne. Besides our names, I love the fact that we have the same name. Spelled differently, but same name. But I love like everything she said was 100% same wavelength as everything that we're talking about. It's about like supporting them and having the right, like when you're giving them the positive feedback, that you're focusing on the right things, not necessarily on, did you win? Love what you did related to winning, but talking about the effort and all those kinds of things. So I just loved it. It was so nice and refreshing to hear that thought process rather than the win, 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 win.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because my daughter came home yesterday and she was complaining about her coach. And so I'm like, okay, I am ready for this. And she was venting about her coach. And, bear in mind, we talk about validating feelings and how to let others talk and everything like all the time in our house. So she's venting. And I'm like, what's something that like you're proud of that you did right? And she turns it immediately around. She's like, Mom, I am venting. I just want to vent right now. I don't want to think about what I'm doing right now. And I'm like, okay. I was like, I tried.
It'll come in later. I am sure. But you know what? I'm so proud of her for saying that part though. Like I'm just venting because isn't that one of the hardest things I think about being a parent in general for our kids, but especially if you're a parent of a teen girl, trying to figure out what it is that they want. Like, do you want to just vent to me? Do you want me to give any advice? Do you want me to distract? Do you want me to agree? What is it that you're looking for from me? And I'm glad that she was able to say that. Wish it could have been a little bit softer, but that's okay.
It's a hard thing because sometimes she doesn't even know what she wants. So I'll ask those questions. And I mean, I think it's normal human nature. She's just like, I just want you to do what the right thing is, Mom. I'm like, I don't know the right thing.
You're like,
in this
like
circumstance.
It's insider secret. We don't know what we're doing.
We don't
we're winging
know.
it.
I could tell you what I think. And then she's like, no, that's not what I'm like, okay. And I think that's just going to be the way of things for like the next few years, because I was probably the same way.
I do know that as the years have progressed, every couple of months I'm calling my parents going, I just wanted to let you know I love you and I appreciate you. And I am so sorry for all the crap I gave you because now I understand. And then I go off on whatever new thing just happened. And I'm like, and now I know what that was like for you. So thank you for being patient with me. And got any advice?
Yeah.
My parents will be like, listen, Bree, we're like in our 70s now. We don't have advice. You just figure it out on your own. You can tell I'm the baby in the family.
Mine are like, I have no idea. You're dealing with it still with your sister. And she's almost 34.
It's the joys. Well, like I just said, like I'm still the baby. I am still treated like the baby in my family. And I actually don't mind it so much. Don't mind it so much at all.
You don't mind it? Because I know that's a point of contention in my family. It's like, because the baby's treated like they can't handle things on their own. Like, do you ever feel like you're treated like that?
So, not really. What I feel like I get is a lot of, would you like help? Would you like this? And I don't see that as, oh, now you say it. So now I'm like going like, oh crap, none of them believe I could do anything on my own. But I actually think that it's a lot more of like just being supportive and being there. I don't know. I don't mind
really.
I don't.
Let me back it up. It's not really like in our family that we don't think the baby can do more on their own. It's more that the baby feels that's how we feel. And so everything like that's offered for help, it's like pushback.
So I will say this, I'm not called the baby. So that does help. If I get called the baby, I'd be like, really?
I'm just I'm just not using her name.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I totally get that. But yeah, so
yeah, that's how it is.
My brain has left the building. It's gone. Woo,
I think it's one of those. It's just one of those vibes. One of those vibes. Well, remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for stopping by. Are you looking for something to listen to with your whole family? Then check out 6 Minutes, produced and created by Gen Z Media. With over 200 twisty, cliffhanger-filled episodes, 6 Minutes tells the story of 11-year-old Holiday who is pulled from the icy waters with no memory of who she is or where she came from.
3 years ago, Breanne Pasternak helped the Anders family uncover the truth about Holiday's past. Now she'll need them to help her find the truth about hers. In 6 Minutes Out of Time, the long-awaited sequel, Cyrus Anders is found unconscious near the mysterious Elixir Academy in Florida, and Breanne learns the school may have a shocking connection to her missing mother.
Dive in now and get the most downloaded family audio adventure in history. Follow 6 Minutes wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen early and ad-free with the GZM family subscription.